Good government depends on public servants being able to give full and frank advice. I want all our public servants to have the confidence to be able to do that. And I hope the House will reflect on the importance of defending our values and principles, particularly when they are under pressure.
Joining the debate tonight on the diplomatic dust-up and to tell us if they think the U.S.-UK special relationship is in tatters is Spencer Critchley, a Democratic strategist and managing partner at Boots Road Group, and legal analyst Jennifer Breeden, president at Breeden Law International. It's great to see you both again. Thanks for coming on the show. First, let's start with you, Jennifer. Despite what we've been hearing, I can get it out, of the UK from Prime Minister May initially about how Kim Darroch had her full faith, was there any doubt in your mind that he would step down, or rather that he would be pushed out?
There was absolutely no doubt on my mind. And that has nothing to do with politics or what people are alleging, specifically former Obama officials and others are alleging that this had anything to do with Trump or politics. Let's put it this way. If there were no politics involved at all, Diplomacy 101 means that you respect the host country. You respect the country that you're in. If you are a foreign national serving as a diplomat in another country, you respect that country's rules, laws, regulations, and then you attempt to engage in relationship and dialogue. So no matter what the politics are, you can blame whomever you want, but you have to respect that country. And so Trump had a right to be upset by that and had a right to not want to dialogue with them because you're supposed to respect that. Now, there is an issue when that comes forward, but Theresa May or any leader on planet Earth, no matter what country it is, if something of this nature came out specifically against the president of the United States of America, any leader would say that it was time for that ambassador to resign because you are no longer going to be effective in the host country. And so that's what it comes down to. I had no doubt he would resign.
Spencer, I want you to weigh in on that, especially considering that these were supposed to be private diplomatic cables.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with Jennifer's definition of Diplomacy 101. I think Diplomacy 101 is that ambassadors and other diplomats have to be able to give frank advice to their home governments. They're not there to flatter the host country's head of state. Unfortunately, I think this is part of the confusion that just rolls on in the United States these days of loyalty to the leader versus loyalty to democracy and the Constitution. This would not have happened if Donald Trump were not so desperately insecure. A more secure leader would have just ignored it or laughed it off. This has happened before. For example, under the Obama administration with Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland saying very critical things about the European Union during what she thought was a private phone call with the ambassador to the Ukraine. And you didn't see, Barack Obama losing his mind over this sort of thing, as he typically did not, because he was just a far more secure person and I think had a better understanding of how democracy and diplomacy are supposed to work.
Some might see, though, being berated in a tweet as a badge of honor, but when you're an envoy, again, from a close ally, to be torn apart by the president in a tweet, is that really what sealed Darroch's fate, or was it more the fact that the president had said that that's it, I'm just not going to work with him?
I mean,
is that a question
and
for
this
me?
is where I come down on this.
Right.
President Trump didn't fire this ambassador. He didn't fire anybody from the United Kingdom. He did not lose his mind over this. He had a response to this. So regardless of whether Obama or Trump reacted differently, neither one of them would fire an ambassador. It would come down to their country. So when I state that I had no doubt he would resign, that was because that was a determination from the UK. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that anybody is supposed to not be honest in their private communications with their home country. Of course, always be honest. The bigger problem is that there is a leak here, and I'm sure the British government will get to point with that. But the point is, it comes down to the United Kingdom, and it comes down to the fact that they were the ones responsible for this resignation, and it has nothing to do with Trump's reaction.
Spencer, there's a lot of talk that Boris Johnson, the man many see as the likely British Prime Minister next, was trying to curry favor with President Trump in some way by back-channeling this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we saw from government figures all over Britain and from across the ideological spectrum today was statements of support for Sir Kim Darroch, and it appeared to be Boris Johnson's lack of support for him, and many people think Boris Johnson is the likely next prime minister. They think that's what sealed his fate. It's interesting also that nobody is disputing the accuracy of Sir Kim's assessment of the Trump administration. Nobody that we've heard from from Britain. And in fact, if you go back to as recently as 2015, Boris Johnson agreed with him when he said he'd hesitate to walk around New York City for fear of running into Donald Trump. And, you know, if you talk to Republican members of Congress in the United States when they're off the record, they say similar things. And you don't hear too many, even Republicans, disputing the accuracy of Sir Kim's assessment here. Again, I think this comes down to just the desperate insecurity of Donald Trump, which could hardly be clearer. And this confusion of loyalty to a single man versus loyalty to our constitutional democracy. This is just not the way things are supposed to work. This is the way things work in places that are more like North Korea than the United States.
Well, I would love to give Jennifer a chance to respond to that, but we have to wrap it up right there. Spencer Critchley, Jennifer Breeden, we thank you so much. Further that discussion next time.